saw a tweet that said, as a final act of love, I will never reach out to you again, but I will become everything I said I was going to be. And let's talk about it, because that's where I know this collective is at. That's what I feel this collective is at. You've attracted a lot of illusions in your life that were just meant to show you your shadow and show you what you need to heal and then move on. But because you're empathetic, because you got a big heart, because you can feel other people's emotions, yada, yada, because you weren't in tune with your intuition at the time, you allowed temporary people to remain permanent figures in your mind, right? Because not in your life. I'm not picking up on you clinging on to energy that doesn't serve you. I'm not picking up on you clinging on to people, places, or things in this physical, right? But I really heavy Scorpio, Cancer, like emotion, very deep emotions. You allow these people, like I said, you allow temporary people to take up space permanently in your mind, picking up on situations that maybe 5 years ago, where it's like you're just now coming to the awareness of giving yourself closure for these things, giving yourself closure without conversations. Because the coolest thing about you is that this new version of self that you created, you built her from scratch too. From scratch. And that's the coolest thing about you. And you don't honor that shit enough. You don't honor it enough. You really built this new version of self from scratch, from the ground up. You really integrated your shadow, and you're starting to realize that it's cool to have a shadow, and I actually like using my shadow. You're learning the balance between light and dark. You're learning how to balance that dark energy that you possess and the light energy that you possess. And going back to the quote, it's all love, but you get none of my attention. And that's where I feel like this collective is at right now, where you're understanding how powerful and potent your attention is, and you're actually understanding how much people like your attention, right? And that's okay, right? Because I like a lot of my friends' attention. I like certain people's attention. I love my boyfriend's attention. But you're starting to realize how many people in your life, how many illusions that were in your life that actually really, I'm getting pick up like on this obsessive energy. I feel like, like I said, you attracted a lot of temporary people in your life that energetically still have holds on your mind. And whether or not you're trying to break free of this person on your mind, this situation that's on your mind, it's going to leave your mind eventually, because you're going to wake up and realize that you are the one that is just perpetuating these thoughts over and over and over. You might be in a process of like rumination, heavy like ruminating. You're just ruminating on thoughts. You might ruminate on conversations a lot. You might replay situations. You might just ruminate on the past a lot, and you need to stop doing that, because it does you nothing, right? It does you nothing. Something about release and let go. I got that download today. I had to text and tell my friend. I heard Clear as Day tell Faye this. I'm like, all right, release and let go. That's what you need to do. Release and let go, and learn how to love yourself. Going back to the quote, like I said, as a final act of love, I will never reach out again. I feel like you've already put yourself first by doing that. You haven't reached out to this person. You haven't gone back to this situation, this environment. But now you have to become that version of self fully in the physical. You have to accept, you have to accept this new version of self that isn't really new. It's new to everyone else, but it's who you are. It's who you've always been. You've just found the confidence and the courage to actually express who you've always known you were out loud. You stop denying yourself the opportunity to fully be yourself. And that might feel like a new version of self. That might look like a new version of self to people that have been known you, but whole time they weren't even really rocking with you, because this is the new you. I'm picking up on a lot of people are going to have some shit to say. I don't even know where this is coming from, but a lot of people are going to have something to say about this new version of self that you've created, about this just new version of you that you've created. A lot of people are going to have something to say, for the good, for the bad, but at the end of the day, everyone is just a mental projection of yourself. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But there's this idea of, you got to understand that you have stepped into this newfound sense of self on your own, because you've decided to accept everything that people have thrown away. You've decided to accept everything about yourself that people have rejected of you. You really started to accept yourself for everything that you possess, for all of your capabilities. Like I said before, that mind that you have, that mind, the way you think, the way you talk, the way you act, the way you treat people, it deserves to be recognized. something about your essence, your spirit, it has been lacking from the world. People are waiting for you to show up as your true self. But because you're holding on to, you're holding on to restrictions that this person, that these people, places, and things that you're still ruminating on in your head, that temporary person, those temporary places and things, those illusions, you're still holding on to them in your brain, which is causing this resistance because your body is ready to receive. Your body is ready to step into new self. Your body is fully ready to go through this transformation. Your body is fully ready to take it to the next level. But your mind is holding yourself back because you still got people's voices in your head. You're replaying stuff in your head that does not need to be replayed, because at the end of the day, people treated you at the capacity at which they could treat themselves. That's how people treat you. That's how people will always treat you. But that's how people definitely treated you back when whatever situation you're picking up on, whatever person you're picking up on, whatever timeline you're picking up on that isn't this one, that's the one I'm talking about. You need to let go. You need to release and let go in order to receive, because your body, like I said, your body is ready, but that mind of yours, your mind, you're too smart for your own good. You're an overthinker. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's night. What needs to be done is done. This is your final act of love, not only towards them, but towards yourself. You owe it to yourself to never reach out to that person again because they did you wrong, to never go back to that place again, to never do anything with that person again. You owe it to yourself to do that, just to stand on business and prove to them that you were never the prize. I was always that, and I will forever be that. But you also owe it to yourself to actually become the version of self that you always said you would be. You owe it to yourself, as you should. Not to flex on nobody, not to prove anything to anyone, but to prove to yourself that you always had the capabilities to become. You always had the potential to become who it is that you always knew you could be. You owe it to yourself, so do that. That is your final act of love to yourself. The final act of love for yourself is to become everything that you dream of, is to be that girl that you see in your head, is to be that guy that you see in your head. That vision board is only a vision because you haven't made it happen in real life. You haven't stepped out of your mind and been able, confirmation, and be able to actually go down the timeline and enter in that timeline fully, mind, body, and spirit. Not just body and spirit, but the mind as well. Your mind is the final component to this everlasting change that you're seeking. Until you step out of your mind, until you release these ruminations, until you break the paradigms of your own mind, until you stop replaying events, places, conversations, until you begin to move forward with clarity, even though you never had a conversation, even though you're owed, don't get me wrong, you're owed conversations, you're owed apologies, you're owed that, but I'm picking, like, you're not going to get that. The people, whoever I'm talking about, whatever is resonating for you, you're not gonna get the conversation. You're not gonna get the apology in this lifetime. You're not gonna get that because that's not what you need in order to move forward, in order to transcend this situation. What you need is to find the conversation within yourself. You need to find acceptance within yourself, because when you accept yourself, you'll begin to start accepting whatever situation is on your mind, whatever you ruminated on, whatever you had to let go, whatever you had to give up in order to get. Until you really sit with yourself and understand that you don't need a conversation for closure. Your closure is bossing up. Your closure is moving on. Your closure is never reaching out again. Your closure is becoming the version of self that you always said you would be. That is your closure, because that's how they'll know too that you really meant business. That's the reading. Goodbye. Love you, not goodbye. It's always a good day. I love you. Make smart decisions. I hope that helped, and I hope that resonated. Love you.